Hello and welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we're going to be taking a look at a puzzle with a very, very unusual boast that it can make. This is the highest rated one-star puzzle on Logic Masters Germany. In other words, in theory at least, it's the highest rated easy puzzle. Now, obviously ratings are subjective, so you might find a one-star puzzle and you might have a go at it and go, well, no, this is really difficult. And that might be the case here. But what a thing to have achieved. It's called Weird Arrow Man. It's by Adem Jaziri. Adem's puzzles are always brilliant. And I think I can sort of see why it might be called Weird Arrow Man, because if I tilt my head like this, isn't this the Weird Arrow Man's head and these are the legs? Well, those are the legs. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not very good at seeing pictures in Sudoku grids, but I am looking forward to having a go at this. It's been recommended to us loads and loads of times, and I just took a quick look at the comments on Logic Masters Germany, and people are saying things like, this is the best puzzle I've ever solved, which is an extraordinary thing to say about a puzzle that's 1 star for difficulty. So Adem has achieved something truly remarkable here. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to having a go at it. It's blisteringly hot here today, by the way. I am absolutely roasting. But what can I tell you about? Firstly, this is the final day to enter Paws Sudoku Hunt. Now, I'm going to tell you that depending on what time zone you're in, if you are in a European time zone and you have not yet started Paws Sudoku Hunt, you could still get it done by the closing date, which is today, because especially if you have a little bit of experience with variant Sudoku, you'll probably race through. I think there are 10 puzzles in all, 9 of which are 6x6s, 1 4x4, and it was designed to be approachable this month, so definitely worth having a look at. Do try and get an entry in if you haven't yet, because you might win the competition, and that will be a great thing. Other than that, what else can I say? Oh, I've got a birthday to do. Let me find my birthday list. Luke, you've turned 32 today, and I know this because your dad Mark wrote to us over there in Memphis. I understand the two of you work at the same company now, and you've discovered a sort of mutual love of Cracking the Cryptic, which I'm very pleased to hear about, obviously. And Mark, it was your birthday, I think, on the 17th, so happy birthday then. I hope you got chocolate cake too. Luke, I'm not sure whether you have a sweet tooth. I think Mark's email said that you might not have. But I'm sure you could do some chocolate cake. Anyway, I hope you have a great birthday, whatever. Many happy returns. And that's the news. So why don't we just kick straight into it and have a look at Weird Arrow Man by Adem Jaziri and see what all the fuss is about. The rules are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. So we have to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. Digits on an arrow sum to the digit in the attached circle. Digits may repeat on an arrow if allowed by other rules. So I could certainly see some situations where digits would have to repeat, but those 3 digits there, you fill them in, you add them up, and whatever they add up to, you put in the corner. That's how arrows work. Cells separated by a white dot contain consecutive digits. Not all dots are necessarily given. So these are consecutive, and those are consecutive. And it's fine, these two could be consecutive as well. Just because there's no white dot doesn't mean they're not consecutive. So we're just getting positive information, in other words, about these 3 dominoes. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. I mean, yeah, there's a few things I can see here. I will actually just mention that if you do enjoy Arrow Sudoku, we have a whole app full of handmade Arrow Sudoku, which has some absolutely stellar puzzles in it. So if this is your cup of tea, definitely check that out if you haven't seen it already. I'll try and remember to put a link on the screen. Anyway, let's have a look at this arrow. What's the minimum these 3 digits could be? Well, I think the minimum is 1, 2, and 3. And the minimum these 2 digits could be is 1 and 2. And 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6, and 1 plus 2 is 3. And that means this has to be a 9. And these digits are all forced. Because if any individual one of them was any higher, this would be at least a 10. Now that's quite interesting. Look, for this domino, which is now... Whoa. Wow. Well, it's at least 3 and 4, isn't it? sorry, it's minimally 3 and 4. So this is a maximum of 1 or 2. And this is either a 3 and a 4 or it's a 3 and a 5. But it must include 3. And I'm wondering actually about the white dot. This is a very obvious point I'm about to mention, but I'm going to mention it anyway. Any pair of consecutive digits must include an odd digit. So what is the odd digit that we're going to put on this dot? Well, it's not 1, it's not 9, it's not 3. So it's either 5 or it's 7. Okay, that's probably not where we look. Okay, yeah, look, this is the same, isn't it? It's got exactly the same profile, so we're going to get a 9 in the other corner as well. And this, it's very similar. There's got to be a 3 here. This has got to be a 1 or a 2. I wonder if there's some... I'm not sure. I haven't got it yet, but I imagine there might be some way we can colour 1s and 2s. That's going to be my next thought. Anyway, let's keep going. What do we do next? This has to be 6, 7, 8, and 9 because those 3 digits all have to be different. Right. Okay. Here is a little question which I can probably apply in both directions. Is it possible that neither of these digits here is 1, 2, or 3? Now, if neither of these was 1, 2, or 3, this would be a 4, 5 pair, and once we added this digit to that total, this would be at least a double-digit number. So, there is a 1, 2, or a 3 in there, but that means that's a 1, 2, 3 triple in the column, doesn't it? And that means that that square is a 3, because we know that one of these is a 3, and I can apply that logic exactly the same way in row 2. We must have a 1, 2, or a 3 in here, so this digit can't be a 3, and that's a 3. And we... Okay. Yeah, Yeah, okay. Now, here's another little... There's a little trick. You pick up these tricks the more of these puzzles you do. But my next trick... Oh, actually, I've just noticed something I might be able to do. I might be able to do something without tricks. There's now... Okay, well, here's a small point. There's now no 3 on this arrow, so it definitely doesn't add up to 6, because it would have to be a 1, 2, 3 triple. But the other point I was going to make is that in any set of 3 digits like this, if we're going to keep the total down to a maximum of 9, 2 of these digits must be low. They must be from the set of digits 1, 2, and 3. Because imagine that wasn't the case. Imagine there was only one of the digits 1, 2, and 3 in the green arrow. Well then, let's make that digit as low as we could. We could make that a 1. But then the other 2 digits would be minimally a 4 and a 5, wouldn't they? And 1 plus 4 plus 5 is 10. So, that means that given there are 2 1s, 2s, and 3s on this little arrow, this arrow is doing mighty work. Because you can't select those 2 digits from 1, 2, or 3, or we've got too many digits in row 2. Selected from just 3 different options. The same is true, of course, in column 2. So, those digits there must be from the digits 1 and 2 now. Because we know we can't put 3 on the arrow. That gives us our 2 digits. And so this is 4, 5, or 6, depending on the value of this. Now, okay, that still hasn't quite cracked it. We're not going to get, well, at least we're not going to get a 3 in this corner, that is for sure. I really want to start, can I start colouring? I'm going to try it. I'm not sure if this is what we're meant to do, but I'm going to try it because I've now noticed that this digit has sort of communicated, if you like, with the 1s and 2s over on the left-hand side. So it feels pretty to me. That must be green. Sorry, that must be blue now because blue is not here. So that must be green, which means that's green, isn't it? That's blue. This is green. One of these is blue, but I don't know which one. And then we can probably We can probably repeat all this down at the bottom as well. So that's green. Green exists on this arrow, but we don't know in which cell. Blue. Oh, look. Blue. Can we put... Nah. No. No. Right. Here's a nice point. So, blue by Sudoku is in one of these little cells in box 9. Now, can we put blue on the dot? Well, that would make this a 1 or a 2. And it would make this a 1, 2 or a 3. But this cell sees 3 and it sees 1 and 2. So it can't be. That's impossible. So this is blue. And that's 1 or 2. Now blue is in one of these squares. Now does that work the other way round? Yes, it does. So we get green here exactly the same way round. And now green is in one of these. So I should be able to do... Oh no, that's the same logic I did with the blues there. Right. Okay. So how do we extend this any further then? I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some blue and green paraphernalia on these arrows. But maybe we've still not quite got to the bottom of this yet. I might have to start looking at these cells. I mean, I can see they're restricted. If I could limit that slightly more... I mean, it's not 9, is it? I mean, this would be bad. I mean, 9 has to be in one of those two squares. 9 obviously can never go on an arrow that's got more than one cell. If we put 9 here, by the time we add this digit to that 9, this circle will be broken. Oh, there. Okay, sorry. Look, where's 9 in box 1? That's a very simple question, which means this is 6. Which means that's 9. Okay, and presumably that works. That's going to work here as well. So that's 9. There's amazing... Actually, what breaks the symmetry? Something must break the symmetry. You can't have a completely symmetrical puzzle or it will have two solutions. Hang on. Oh, it's literally this dot. That's the only break. So what I'm saying there, which is I think quite interesting. Let me just mention it. Look at the symmetry around this diagonal. The puzzle is utterly symmetrical. If you were to fold the grid over, everything would match. The only thing that doesn't match is this dot. That's the only thing that's causing this puzzle to only have one solution. Anyway, let's keep going. Now, what do we do now with 9s? 9 has to be in one of those two squares. Can't go on an arrow. Where does 9 go in the middle of the grid? It can't go on an arrow, so it's got to go here. Now 9 is in one of two places there, and that's going to be symmetrical. So it's almost a one-sided puzzle. You could almost do one side of it and see what happened. Okay, so the other thought I'd had. In fact, now I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. 6s. 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 No, that's not it, is it? Let's have a look at this digit. Now that digit is at least a 4, I'm going to claim. Because it sees 1, 2 and 3. And this digit is at least a 3. Because it sees 1 and 2. So the value of this circle here is at least 7. But if that logic is the same, and it is for this square is also at least 4, then this square is at least a 7, which means these two squares together are a 7-8 pair. Now, given that this, imagine this wasn't a 3, say it was a 4, then we couldn't keep these down. Both of these would be at least 8, and we can't have that, so that must be a 3. And these now are a 4-5 pair, aren't they? Now, has that helped us? Probably, but I don't know how. Okay. I think it is going. It's going to be, I think, to do with those squares. But let me just mull this for a second or two. I might have to. Yeah, I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm going to colour this digit and this digit as well, because I can see beautiful things happening as a result. Purple is up there now. I don't know which cell it's in, but it's in one of them. And then purple is in one of these. And now, where's purple in this box? The answer is there. So that is actually purple. Now, oh yes, okay. So now purple has made an appearance on this dot. Now, originally we noted there had to be an odd digit on this dot, didn't we? And I thought it could be 5 or 7. Well, given that there's a 7 or an 8 on this dot for sure, it's definitely not 5. So there is definitely now a 7 on this dot. And 6 is here. So this is a 7-8 pair. This is magnificent. Well, hang on. That's a 7-8 pair. Now that means yellow is on. So this is a yellow, but that logic should work the other way round. Let's see if it does. So you can see yellow is in these two squares. So yellow is in these two squares. So yellow is here, which means yellow, yeah, yellow is on that dot. And once yellow is on the dot, 5 is not on the dot, 7 is on the dot. And once 7 is on the dot, 6 is not on the dot. So this is a 7-8 pair. And purple is on this dot as well. And if purple is on the dot and yellow is on the dot, we now know where purple and yellow go in box 1. I mean, this is almost unbelievably clever, isn't it? I don't know how you set something like this. Now I've got, well, now neither of these, now I'm going to get a 3 in the corner because the 3 on this arrow and the 3 on this arrow are pointing at these two squares. So that's 3 in the corner, that's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. Okay, well that's good. So these are 4, 5 and 6. These are 4, 5 and 6. And I still don't think we're quite there, are we? There's still... Ah, hang on. No, I thought I'd seen another break in the symmetry, but I haven't. I'm glad about that, actually. These digits have got to include a 3. Because remember, it's green and blue that are the 1s and 2s. So there's no 1 or 2 on this arrow. Yet it's adding up to 7 or 8. So it's either a 3-4 pair, or it's a 3-5 pair, and it's definitely got 3 on it. Oh, I see, and we know where. Sorry, that's the 3, which means that's the 3, and I'm going to be able to obviously do that the other way round once we look at this arrow, which must have exactly the same property, and that 3 knocks the 3 out of it. So that, well, knocks the 3 out of that square. So that's 3. So that's 3, and that's therefore not blue. That's the blue one. And has that done anything? Nearly. Well, yeah, this is interesting now, because now blue is on this arrow, and presumably green is on this arrow. So that's very important, isn't it? Because can we now put green or blue in the corner of box 5? No. Because if we do, one of these arrows will add up to 3, because it will be a 1-2 pair. If we put blue here, this is green, and this arrow adds up to 3. So actually what we have to do is make these the 1-2 pair. And I want to say now that has to be a 6. Because surely that's true. Because one of these is 2. And whichever one it is going to have to add up to 8. And one of them is 7. So this is a 6 now, just by the mathematics of these arrows. So that's not 6 and that's not 6. Right, so now look, yeah, this is interesting. So now if we sort of pencil mark more fully, because purple is in one of these and 6 is in the other cell, and because yellow is in one of these and 6 is in the other cell, we get a 6, 7, 8 triple, which means this square is 4 or 5, this square is 4 or 5, this square is 4 or 5, this square is 4 or 5 in the central box. And that means these squares are from, well, I see, sorry, I could have extended my colouring a bit further. I can extend this colour down here. Always, whenever you do something in a symmetrical puzzle, try and remember to do the symmetrically opposite thing as well. So this square is from 6, oh, whoopsie, I was going to say 6, 7, and 8. These are from 9, 4, 5. So this is 6, 7, 8. This 6. I'm going proper goodliff here. I'm actually goodliffing at a terrible rate. 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8. That's 6, 7, 8. So that's this. These are all 4, 5, and 9 cells. And it's somehow it's all going to come down to this dot, which is going to break all of the symmetry. Look, I've got 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9. I wonder if that, no, 3, 9, 6. Maybe this has got to be 3, 9, 6 for some reason. Well, yes, actually, look, where's 3 in the bottom right box? It's got to be there, which is placing 9 here, which is placing 9 in both of these arrows now. So these must be a 7, 8 pair, mustn't they? Because we're adding 2 or 1 to these arrows to get to 9. So these must be a 7, 8 pair. And now I've used up 1, 3, 7, and 9. So there must be a 5, and that does it. Good grief. So it all comes down to this dot, which must have a 5 on it because it must have an odd number because it's a consecutive pair. And that 5, I don't even know what it partners up with. I mean, we can say these digits are 4, 5, and 6 by Sudoku. But because this has got to have an odd digit, that there's a 5 vertically looking at this square. And what does that do? Well, you can see. It makes green have to be 2, which means blue has to be 1, which means this digit here has to be 8. This has to be 7. That has to be 7. That has to be 8 by Sudoku. That has to be 8. That has to be 7. Make sure we do it the other way around. Now, we never actually coloured these, so we might still have to do a little. Well, that's now a 6, actually, I'm now noticing. So that's a 6 up there. So that has become full purple, look. And we should be able to do something similar. Or maybe not. Well, if that's a... hang on a minute. What have we just done? Let's be careful. 1, 3. So this is a 5, which means that's a 5. We get a 4, 6 pair here. These squares are 7 and 8. And... okay, that's all semi-sensible, isn't it? These don't include 5 anymore. So this square here is a 5. Which means on this arrow, I've now got 8 as yellow. So 8 is yellow, 8 is yellow, 8 is yellow. So that means purple is 7. Which means, as Maverick flies over, it wouldn't be an episode of Cracking the Cryptic without a little soiree from Maverick. These don't include 7 anymore. And... that means this arrow, look, that's got to be a 4 to make the arrow add up to 7. So that's got to be a 4, that's a 5, that's a 4, that's a 5. This is now a 6, so that's a 6, that's a 4, that's a 5. That's a 5, 5, 4. I could have probably coloured more fully and we could have sort of unwound it a pace, but it's still extremely enjoyable to do it this way. That's now a 6, so that's a 7, that's an 8, that's an 8, and that's a 6. And I suppose what I should do is just to sharpen up just double click all of those and make sure they're all yellow. Double click all the 7s and make sure they're all purple. And that is, I think, how to solve a very... God, a lot of people have tried that, but it's absolutely brilliant. Weird Arrow Man. It's a spectacularly clever puzzle. The colouring, the ideas, they're just lovely. Absolutely lovely. There's not much more to say. It's just quite beautiful the way that worked. The way all of the sort of these short arrows interacted as the 3s were doing marvellous work, and then the final break of the symmetry here to unwind it all. Spectacularly clever. I hope you'll agree. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.